Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm here today with Tara, who is a client of mine and a friend. And actually, the reason we're doing this today, and I'm so grateful that Tara agreed to do this, is to give you all an idea of what this process, coaching for inner peace, looks like. And I can talk to you about it, but I think someone who's experienced it can really give you a firsthand experience, and that may be helpful to you as you try to see if this is something that you may want to give a try. So thank you again, Tara, for doing this.
Thanks for asking.
And so I'm just going to ask her some questions, and we're not rehearsing any of this, so everything is very spontaneous, and I think that's often the best way to do it. So we're just going to jump right in. So, Tara, what I wanted to ask you first, if you could just give our audience just what your background is and what sort of challenges you were facing when you decided to do the coaching that we did together.
So I spent the last several years as a healthcare administrator working in the home health and hospital areas. And this past year, I made another transition into another sector within the healthcare work area. And I reached a point after a few months in that role, realizing again that, I was still seeking more balance and a sense of purpose in my life. And, I had been on my email and looking at some information and came across your coaching for inner peace. And it just caught my attention. And I think it was because of the place that I was at that moment. It drew me in to say, this would be something I felt that I needed at the time, really for reflection and conversation about the journey that I was on. Not only professionally, but personally, I was beginning to have some family matters unfold as a caregiver. Having elder parents and grandparents, and I have a sibling that also requires a lot of my time and attention due to her condition. And so I was at this crossroads, and I just really needed to be able to have a sounding board where I could share those things and begin to introspect about what I needed to be doing and to help manage any fear or anxiety that was coming up along that path.
Great, great. So you said something spoke to you. So did you have an idea of, like, did you have it in your mind that number one, you were looking for someone to help you, and then what that help would look like? Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. When I saw the information about coaching for inner peace, first of all, because it's the name of it alone got my attention. Certainly, looking for inner peace was something that attracted me to it. I've had, different executive coaches. I've gone through different leadership programs and training, and over the past have had, social work therapy. And I think for me, having had those experiences, I felt like this was a greater combination for me. It was really more of a sounding board and someone that can reflect with me in the experiences that I'm having and help me achieve better clarity. So I feel like a hybrid of executive coaching and other types of therapy, and I just felt your presence, and that's why I feel that it was really effective for me to be able to have that understanding and more unconditional, less prescriptive approach. And again, for me, I think it's always healthy to have someone to talk to when you're going through transitions or transformations, and for reassurance. So I think that for me, this is again part of my journey and self-care.
Great, great. Now you said it was less prescriptive. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Well, I think, in meeting you, I found, as compared to other coaching that I've experienced, there are just different methods that seem to be used by other types of forums. Executive coaches, they follow perhaps a protocol. therapists follow a protocol, and I think there's importance to that, and I think that you also have your own, but it's much more fluid and flexible based on the needs of the client. So the other connection for me was that really client-driven approach, not pushing too hard, not pulling, but just being and allowing for that fluid movement. I think more for me, at least personally, than I had with other sessions of coaching.
Great, great. And you said it was like a part of your self-care.
Yes.
So talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I think that self-care is really about being, number one, aware that you have a need and an interest in having support while you're making difficult professional or personal decisions. And doing that alone sometimes isn't the best way or the best approach. So for me, I considered enlisting you with the coaching because it's part of my own personal wellness and my own self-care. You know, just like people who seek out therapy or other more formal types of, let's say, treatment or support or prevention, for me, this was my form of self-care and wellness, reaching out into a type of coaching that really fit who I am today.
So, can you describe for the audience what our sessions look like? Because they were very non-traditional,
Sure.
and some of that was really initiated from you.
Yeah.
So, if you want to share that, I think that would be.
Yeah, I think what I really enjoyed was that it's not a typical going into an office, sitting across from one another. We met in parks and took walks, and we're in nature and able to really be in a more relaxed setting where conversation flowed. So for me, that also was a major benefit in being able to be in the real world while talking. And, I personally enjoy being in nature, and I found it, I guess, more productive for me to be able to be walking and talking and connecting on a personal level while being in the engagement of, coaching and reflection. So it was a more higher impact for me.
Great, great, great. So we would have our sessions, and I think sometimes we did like once a week or every other week or whatever it worked out. What was your experience with that clarity process? Because you said that was one thing that you were seeking. So can you tell us about that?
Yes, I think that the clarity was in fact embracing that sometimes there isn't total clarity, and also to be able to really go more with your gut and your intuition. I tend to be a very traditional professional person who, is sometimes over attached to that identity, and I think that acceptance, and I like to use the word surrender to what it is that you feel really called to do, and that may be tending to family, taking a break from the professional line of work that you're in, and being okay with that. So it may not be that you have to have the answer for everything, but I guess for me, clarity came out of the fact that I chose to be in the place that I am, and that all of my upcoming choices and opportunities are really part of my journey. So for me, as vague as that sounds, that's better clarity, and actually more comforting for me as I go through my process.
Great, great. So it's almost like the coaching helped you to see things as of a journey and an evolution, and not think that you have to find the answers, but almost kind of let the answers come.
Right.
In there.
Yes, I think there is an element to the discussions that we've had that were reassuring that, and also some personal sharing on, we all go through different changes. So yes, I think it reinforced and validated what I really felt that I needed to do with this particular point in my life, and that was to focus on the family care needs that I had and not try to do everything, and that my path will come back to, my focus, which it is now, and the clarity will come. And, I'm embracing that uncertainty and the fear with grace more so than I ever have.
Wonderful, wonderful. And for someone like yourself, who, as you said, you've been in very kind of high power, very outcome driven,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Roles.
Yes.
So for you to be at peace with where you are, that's quite a difference, right? Considering that's not what your norm was.
Yes, I am definitely hardwired for clarity and results and outcomes in my profession, and I apply that also to myself. But as I'm going through these processes and reaching out to the right forums and people, I'm realizing that that's my own personal opportunity right now, is to be thoughtful, patient, and systematic, as opposed to hard driving and identity driven.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. That's great. So, if you were to think about the process that we shared, um, who do you think, like if someone's considering it, or would there be a certain kind of person or certain kind of situations you think that this would be helpful for?
I think that without being judgmental, I know I've mentioned for myself, I've gone to executive coaching, leadership training, and my own therapy over the years. And I think that to benefit truly from this approach, a person really needs to have a higher self-awareness and a sense of ownership in their choices and the things that are happening, as opposed to victim mentality. I think that people who have gone through that, rightfully so, but are at a point now where they want to learn how to manage what they can control, is the most likely success for this type of approach.
Great, great. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to say or add to about your experience, or anything else you'd like to share in our last couple of minutes together?
Sure. Well, I think I've had an affinity toward this approach, and I personally think it is more personal and adaptive to the people that reach out for this type of coaching. And I guess I would say that I'm still involved, and I continue to want to be connected with your practice. And I'd encourage others who are at a certain point, who have, perhaps experienced other types of, let's say, wellness approaches, to if you're ready and you're at a point of the, emotional awareness and intelligence, that this can be a very gentle and, really revealing process.
Great,
So,
great. Yeah, and you touched upon a lot of issues because you were groping with career stuff,
career and personal, and a trifecta. Sometimes people say, things come all at once. I was, coming out of a workplace environment that really was not a fit. I had personal priorities and, needed to really figure out where to put my attention to manage my stress, which, and I'm very pleased with the choices, even though some of them have been challenging.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you sharing this for others, because I think they will benefit. And thank you for your attention. So feel free to write an email or send a message if you have other questions. And hopefully this will be something that can add to, to a possibility for you, so that you can consider this when you start to look at ways you can, as Tara pointed out, for you caring for yourself. All right. Thank you, and we'll join again soon.